This is not a WTFU video, at least not at its core. Instead, I want to dissect one of the many aspects of it, mainly the one that AAA Gaming has been using to justify taking down several YouTube videos and specifically targeting Let's Players. But to do that, we need to ask a difficult question. To steal a title from Matt Delahunty, hyperbole will destroy the world. But this is actually something people in AAA industry are concerned about. This is actually cited as one of the reasons they DMCA videos on YouTube. Well, they've got multiple other reasons as well. Copyright claims, controlling their marketing and corporate voice, exclusivity, similar. But just for now, I want to concentrate on this one concept. The argument is basically this: if I am watching someone play a video game on YouTube, YouTube Gaming, Twitch, Hitbox, or wherever, I am less likely to play the game myself. That is an interesting concept. People watching video games are less likely to buy a game than those who don't watch it. I guess it's kind of like movies. If somebody's streaming a movie for free, why would somebody else pay money to go to a theater and watch it there, right? And seeing as most video games are now cutscene-driven movies in the first place, I think you see where I'm going with this. Let's take a simple game like the Stanley Parable. It's a short, quirky indie title that has basically an interactive story. It's possible to play through the game several times in an evening if you so desired, and as a result there are literally thousands of videos on YouTube of people doing just that. So in practice, you don't even need to actually buy the game in order to get the storyline, or even the multiple storylines. Oh, you want to see all the endings? There are hundreds of videos for that. You want silent playthroughs? Hundreds of videos for that too. You want to see a popular YouTube personality screaming and acting like an idiot? Well, actually all the usual suspects did it, so there you are. You want to see the Easter eggs? There's videos for that too. The same can be said for just about every game out there. You want to see every cutscene for a modern game? There are thousands of videos. I mean, hell, some people will even call it the movie version of the game. And this has actually hurt some studios. For example, That Dragon Cancer. In March of 2016, they said that they had not made a single dime from their game, even with the millions of YouTube hits on their Let's Play videos. To quote an article from Kotaku, designer Ryan Green said he had underestimated how many people would be satisfied only watching the game, and at how many popular YouTubers would basically upload his story for free and then link their own merch sites to it without linking to where to get his game. And we're not just talking about YouTube here either. Let's take Fallout 4. It's a great example of this. The night of the launch of Fallout 4, there were dozens, if not hundreds, of people live streaming the game that very night. And live crashing it too, come to think of it. Unlike a YouTube video, Twitch is interactive. Now there's a 30-second delay, but yeah, it's interactive. So you can tell players, hey, go check out that building, and they can. So in essence, they're playing the game for you. Or they're showing you all the good parts, and again, you don't need to buy the game for yourself. Think of the AAA gaming industry's position like spoiler alerts. If the game is story-driven, you can only really be surprised by the story once. The cool part of the story has just been told. You know how it goes. Do I want to? Yeah, if I don't, I'm going to hate myself. So, I'm going to get a lot of use out of that sign. I remember when video games started making a really heavy push into couch multiplayer and then into online multiplayer, and they seem to have doubled down on that now. And I think that's partially a response to Let's Players. Online multiplayer modes have a lot of advantages for a game company. Well, for starters, if it doesn't suck too much, the online multiplayer is going to keep the game in the metaphorical tray for much longer. It also provides a dynamic gaming experience because real human players are not as predictable and always change and evolve their tactics. Except when they are predictable and they don't change their tactics, but I've covered that in a video a long time ago. But for Let's Players, online multiplayer is a blessing because the game they play is radically different than the games that other Let's Players do. Their tactics are different, their scenario is different, but it's also familiar to their audience because the maps don't change, but how they play it is based on reacting to the other team. It's just a way that they can show their mastery. Okay. We're going like Inception levels of tangent here, but stick with me for just a second. When I hear a gamer talk about making a game harder, they often don't know what makes a game hard in the first place, and I would argue that a big portion of that is the learning curve. The hard part of the game is learning how to beat a boss, or a level, or even the game as a whole. Once you see the trick, it then becomes a matter of consistency and efficiency, and this is the mastery that I'm talking about. So in a multiplayer environment, the maps don't change, the armor doesn't change, the weapons don't change, but what does change is the mastery level of the players, and that is what makes every single one of those matches dynamic. Although actually, come to think of it, that whole mastery thing, it's probably not as much of an Inception moment as I thought. Let's say you get stuck on a level in a game. What do? Well, when I was a kid, there were magazines that gave tips and tricks, or you could call this 1-900 number and,
Just $2 for the first minute, 45 cents each additional minute.
Yeah, that's going to add up real fast. Well, sometimes if your other friends were playing the game, you'd compare notes with them, and if nobody else had figured it out yet, you either gave up or you would stay up till dark 30 trying to figure it out for yourself. You know, you kids and your checkpoints these days, get off my... Anyway. But now, if you get stuck in a game, what do? You hit up Google and you search for it. You go on YouTube and you see someone else has beat it and you go, oh, that's how it's done. And in seconds, you beat the game. They use this euphemism of consuming content to describe how fast we go through their games. More correct than their analogy, we don't just consume content, we devour it. We burn through their games so fast that some people can beat the game and resell it back to the game store before the launch sale is still over. So it's very possible that in the minds of AAA industry, all that Let's Players and streamers do is they just speed up the process in how fast we consume their content. So in their minds, if against all odds we end up buying their game, we're going to beat it so quickly we're not going to buy their DLC or anything or add-ons or anything else like that. So as far as they're concerned, it's a lose-lose situation. They're going to keep on losing money, but is that actually the case? Statistically, no. I want to go back to the Stanley Parable for a minute. Yeah, there are literally thousands of Let's Play videos out there showing you about every single aspect of the game, and yet it sold really well. Over 1 million units well into 2014. I don't know what the numbers are now, but the designer encouraged people to play his games on stream and make videos. To quote him from an interview from Wired, live streamers have an enormous reach. When one of those people really like a game, 200,000 or 300,000 people were just told this game is really fantastic. In fact, almost every indie developer will tell you that getting their game featured on a popular YouTube channel means a lot of sales. Almost. I mean, games like That Dragon Cancer are not exactly replayable, and to be fair, the LP community didn't do them any favors by uploading the whole thing. But what about walkthroughs and stuff like that? Doesn't that ruin the gaming experience? Actually, no, it doesn't. Because, well, it saves players the economy of time, yeah, but it also rescues a lot more games than you might think. One more callback. Remember when I said back in the day we would read magazines to get tips and tricks? What if the magazine didn't feature the game you wanted to play? You're basically screwed. Well, let's take a look at Dragster for the Atari 2600. This is a great example. Back in the day, I didn't know anyone who could make it across that damn finish line. A lot of my friends would take games like this and put it in the shoebox of doom and it would never see the light of day again, because how the hell do you even play this game? Now, if you get stuck, a Let's Play video can get you over the hurdle, teach you what you need to know, and you can keep on playing. I would argue that more people today complete games than back in the day because you can learn what it takes and apply that to future games. It's frustrating when people say, well, you learn by losing. No, you learn by being taught. And even if you're just repeating actions that someone else does, that's how you learn how something works. Now, as to the why it works, that's another story entirely and not necessarily good for this show, so we're just going to move on from that. No, I don't think that Let's Players and the like are going to kill the gaming industry in spite of what they think. But by the same token, I also think that Let's Players should kind of rein it in a little bit. This could apply to a lot of the reviewing community, but I think we're doing this all wrong. I mean, let's face it, Let's Players are posting full gameplays of games that don't need to be full gameplays. And yeah, a lot of people complain when I try to find middle ground and stuff like this, but there has to be one here because there's extreme thinking going on both sides and it's not doing anyone any good. I think the middle ground is a compromise of sorts. Companies need to understand that we're not going to stop streaming and we're not going to stop making these videos unless they pull the plug on us. And Let's Players need to understand that some games should not be posted in full. For example, if a game has a linear storyline, play through a segment of the game and then publish that with a link of where to buy the game. Players see what the game is like, and if they want more, they'll get it. And to be fair, some Let's Play channels do exactly that, and I applaud them for that. Tutorials and walkthroughs have their place too, but as standalone videos on segments that are notoriously hard, or if you find a technique that's worth sharing. It can be just enough to help a player get over a hurdle without being a crutch. We should make these videos as a resource, not a replacement. So no, Let's Players and live streamers, we are not killing the gaming industry, but I really get a feeling the gaming industry is trying to kill us as Let's Players and live streamers. We've already seen it. Sega, Nintendo, a lot of these other companies, they just don't see the inherent value in what we do. And if they give us half a chance, we can show them that we are allies, not enemies.